Okay, so today we're diving into a topic that I think a lot of people have probably experienced, but don't necessarily know how to handle toxic behavior in the workplace. And we're specifically focusing on what managers can do when they're dealing with this.
Yeah.
We're looking at this podcast script about managing the toxic team member. It lays out a pretty structured approach to understanding and addressing this whole thing. So we're going to try to pull out the most helpful stuff for you guys listening.
Exactly.
Whether you are in the midst of this right now or you just want to be prepared in case you ever face this kind of situation.
Yeah, a lot of the advice out there just talks about like difficult people or, just difficult personalities.
Right.
And what's so interesting in this material is they really break down specific behaviors that actually create a really damaging environment, not just for the individual, but for the whole team and the wider company as well.
So let's get really clear on what we mean by toxic behavior, because I think it's important to not just label anyone who's having a bad day or, maybe you just don't get along with them.
Right.
This source makes it clear that it's about a consistent pattern of actions that are creating a negative and harmful environment.
Yeah.
So think about things that are really eroding the trust within your team.
Right.
Undermining collaboration.
Absolutely.
And damaging people's well-being. That's what we're talking about when we say toxic.
Exactly. It's the consistency.
Yeah.
And the harmful impact. If it's just a one-off thing, people have bad days.
Yeah.
But it's when it's persistent and when it's really starting to have negative effects on the team and the work.
Yeah.
And it can even affect the wider organization.
Absolutely.
Innovation can be stifled. Employee engagement goes way down.
Right.
And ultimately, it can really hit a company's bottom line.
Absolutely. And the source that we're looking at actually gives us 7 different types of toxic team members. And I think as we go through them, you'll probably start to recognize some of these people. The first one's called the energy vampire.
Okay.
And I think we all know this person. This is the one who is constantly complaining, always negative.
The pessimist.
Pessimistic about everything. You might hear them in meetings saying things like, this is never going to work.
Right.
Or this project is doomed from the start.
Right.
Like just shooting down every idea.
What I find interesting about the energy vampire is the way that their negativity can really spread.
Yeah.
It's contagious.
Totally.
And it can really bring down the whole team's morale. It makes it really hard for other people to stay positive and motivated.
Right.
And so that raises a really important question, I think, for managers.
Yeah.
How do you address that kind of negativity? How do you kind of redirect it without completely shutting the person down?
Right. And I think that is something that we'll get into as we go through the strategies.
Exactly.
Because I think it's really important to be able to address these things.
Right.
Okay, so the next one we have is the saboteur.
Okay.
This is someone who is actively working to undermine others.
Interesting.
And sometimes it's really in your face, and sometimes it's much more subtle.
Okay.
But think about someone who's like spreading rumors to try to get someone in trouble, or deliberately withholding information that a colleague needs to be able to do their job, or even just dragging their feet on their own tasks to make a teammate look bad.
Yeah, so it's like an element of intentionality there. It's not just negativity.
Right.
It's like actually trying to make other people fail, sabotage them.
Yes.
That's a really interesting distinction.
It is.
And, if we think about the bigger picture for a second, for you as the listener, this kind of behavior really erodes trust within a team. It really damages team cohesion.
Right.
It lowers productivity.
Yeah.
And it creates this climate of distrust that can be really hard to overcome.
Absolutely. Okay, so number 3, the drama magnet.
Okay.
This is the person who seems to thrive on conflict.
Yeah.
And is always stirring up some kind of drama.
The pot stirrer.
Yes, exactly. Like, you'll see them gossiping and trying to get people to fight with each other.
Right.
Or just blowing really small things way out of proportion.
Right. Making mountains out of molehills. Yeah.
It can be so exhausting.
Yeah, it's disruptive to the workflow.
Yeah.
And it puts this big emotional burden on everyone who has to be around them.
Right.
And I think what's interesting here is that sometimes this behavior can come from a need for attention, even if it's destructive attention.
Right.
So it's something to consider when you're observing this, like what might be driving that need.
Right.
Is there something else going on?
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, number 4 is the blame shifter.
Oh, yeah.
This is the person who just refuses to take responsibility for their mistakes.
Oh, yeah. We all know that one.
And will always find someone or something else to blame.
Right.
So, let's say they miss a deadline.
Right.
They'll say, oh, well, I didn't get the data from so-and-so.
Yeah.
Or I didn't have the information.
Yeah, they didn't tell me.
They didn't tell me, even though they had plenty of time to ask.
Exactly.
This one's tough.
This one really hinders accountability.
Yeah.
And the ability for a team to actually learn and grow from their mistakes.
Totally.
If nobody's willing to own up,
right,
the same mistakes are going to happen again.
Right.
And it's going to be really hard to move forward. So this raises another question for you managers out there.
Yeah.
How do you build that culture of accountability? Where people feel safe admitting when they've messed up.
Right.
So that the focus can be on solving the problem rather than just shifting the blame around.
That is a great point.
Okay.
Up next, we have the manipulator.
Okay.
And this is someone who uses deceit or charm, whatever they can, to kind of control other people.
Okay.
And get their own way.
Right.
So some examples of this might be playing people against each other.
Oh, yeah.
Spreading false information to get ahead.
Right.
Or using guilt trips.
Yeah.
To get other people to do their work for them.
The classic guilt trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one's really damaging, I think, to trust. Oh, absolutely. Fundamental level of trust within a team.
Yeah.
Because their actions create this sense of unease.
Right.
You never quite know what their agenda is.
You're always on edge.
Yeah, you're on edge. You can feel kind of exploited.
Right.
And resentful.
Yeah.
And if we think about the big picture again.
Yeah.
A workplace where manipulation is rampant.
Right.
Is going to really struggle with genuine collaboration.
Right.
And honest communication.
Yeah.
Because people are always kind of second guessing what's really going on.
Okay. We are over halfway through our list.
Okay.
Number 6 is the bully harasser.
Right.
And unfortunately, this is someone who uses intimidation or threats or verbal abuse to control or demean others.
Right.
This can involve things like yelling at people, making personal insults, or just creating a hostile work environment through really offensive jokes or comments.
Right.
So this kind of behavior is obviously totally unacceptable.
Yeah.
And it can have really serious legal and ethical implications.
This is a huge one.
Huge.
This is not okay.
Yeah.
And it requires immediate action.
Yes.
It can't be tolerated.
Right.
So what's really critical here for managers is to recognize this immediately and address it swiftly because it directly impacts the safety and well-being of your team members.
Yes.
And it can have really significant legal ramifications.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, we have 2 more types of toxic employees to get through. Number 7 is the insubordinate. And this is the one who consistently defies authority, ignores rules, refuses to follow instructions.
Okay.
Think about someone who openly disagrees with you in a meeting when you give them a direct instruction. Or they might be actively working against established team goals because they just don't want to do it.
So they're just kind of going rogue.
Yeah, they're going rogue.
Doing their own thing.
Yep.
Yeah, that can be really tricky. Yeah. Especially for new managers, I think, to deal with that. So it's all about setting really clear expectations and then consistently enforcing those expectations.
Right.
So there's no question about who's in charge.
Exactly.
And what needs to be done.
Right. And then the last one, this one's a little bit different, but I think still important to mention, is the boundary violator.
All right.
This is someone who disregards those professional boundaries. So they might be constantly oversharing personal information.
Yeah.
Engaging in unwanted physical contact.
Yeah.
Or asking really inappropriate, overly personal questions.
Right.
That make other people uncomfortable.
So they're not respecting those professional boundaries that are so important in a workplace.
Right. And again, it's really important to have clear expectations and to enforce them consistently.
Exactly. The insubordinate kind of disrupts the team processes.
Right.
And it can undermine you as a manager.
Yes.
Your authority. The boundary violator, on the other hand, creates this climate of discomfort and can lead to feelings of harassment.
Yeah.
So in both of these cases, having those clear expectations and enforcing them is really crucial.
Absolutely. So we've talked about all these different types. Now, the source really emphasizes that this is not just some minor annoyance.
Right.
This has really significant negative impacts on the whole team and on the organization.
Right. Real world consequences.
Yes. Yeah. So let's talk about some of those. First of all, decreased productivity. Yeah. Because people are spending so much time and energy dealing with the toxic person.
Right.
And all the fallout.
Right.
That they're not actually able to focus on their work.
Exactly. Think about all the time you might spend as a manager mediating conflicts.
Right.
Comforting upset colleagues.
Yeah.
Even just the mental energy that's wasted worrying about this toxic behavior.
Right.
It all takes away from actually getting things done efficiently.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then the other big one is low morale.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so stressful.
Yeah.
And it creates so much anxiety and resentment.
Absolutely.
When you're in a toxic environment.
Yeah.
And it makes it really hard for people to feel motivated and engaged.
Right. And that low morale
can
lead to a whole cascade of other problems.
Yeah.
For you and for their organization.
Right.
Increased absenteeism because people just don't want to be there.
You just want to avoid it.
They want to avoid it. Higher turnover.
Yeah.
Because valuable employees are going to say, I'm out of here.
Right.
I don't need this.
I deserve better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the damage doesn't stop there.
Right.
Because if you have this toxic behavior and it's not addressed, it can damage the reputation.
Absolutely.
Of the whole team.
Yeah.
And of the company.
Word gets around.
Totally.
People don't want to work at a place.
Right.
That's known for being toxic and having all this negativity and infighting.
Yeah.
It can be really damaging.
Yeah. And then in the worst case scenario, like we talked about with the bully, this can lead to legal issues.
You're right.
Like harassment or discrimination claims.
Exactly. So it's not just a matter of, team dynamics.
Right.
There are real legal risks here.
Big time.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the big question. What can managers actually do about all of this?
Yeah.
And luckily, our source gives us some really concrete strategies.
Okay, good.
That can be really helpful.
All right, so what's the first one?
So the first one is recognizing and documenting the behavior.
Okay, so step one, don't just ignore it, hoping it's going to go away on its own.
Right.
Which can be tempting.
It's very tempting.
To just kind of sweep it under the rug.
Right.
But what's so smart about this approach is it says, no, you need to actively identify it.
Right.
What are the patterns here?
Yeah.
And you need to keep detailed records of specific incidents.
And this documentation piece is so important.
Yeah.
You need to have a record of dates and times and locations.
Right.
Who was there to witness it?
Mm-hmm.
And then really importantly, what was the impact of that behavior?
Yeah.
And I think the key here is being objective.
Absolutely.
And sticking to the facts.
Right.
You don't want to put any emotion or personal opinions in your notes.
Right.
Just the facts.
Just the facts.
What happened?
Yeah.
When it happened? Who saw it?
And what was the effect?
What was the effect?
Yeah.
And that objectivity is so important because it gives you a really solid foundation.
Absolutely.
If you need to have any follow-up conversations.
Right.
Or take any disciplinary action.
Exactly. It's not about your interpretation or your personal feelings. It's about, okay, this is what happened.
Right.
This is what was observed.
This is the effect that it had.
And this is why it's a problem.
Exactly.
That's really powerful.
Okay, so strategy number 2 is to address the behavior directly and promptly.
Okay, so don't wait. Don't let it fester.
Yeah. A lot of people might be tempted to kind of avoid this.
Oh, yeah. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Nobody likes confrontation.
Right.
But the source is really emphasizing how important this step is.
Absolutely. And the best way to do this is to schedule a private one-on-one conversation with the employee in a neutral setting.
Right.
So that you can both speak freely without being interrupted.
So it's respectful to the individual.
Right.
But it also ensures that you have that space to really have this conversation.
Right. And when you're having that conversation, the advice is to be direct and specific. Don't try to beat around the bush.
Right.
Or soften the blow. Just clearly describe what you've observed.
Right.
And importantly, articulate the impact that it's having.
Okay.
On the team, the workflow morale.
So how is it actually affecting things?
Right.
Not just, I feel bad about this.
Right. It's like, this is what's happening because of this behavior.
Exactly. Here are the tangible consequences.
Yes. And the source actually gives a great example.
Oh, okay.
Instead of saying something like, you're always so negative.
Right.
Which is really vague.
Yeah.
You could say, during the team meeting on date.
Okay.
You made several negative comments, and then you would quote the actual comments.
Right.
Which created a really discouraging atmosphere. And actually led to other team members expressing discomfort afterwards.
So you're giving them really concrete examples that they can't deny.
Right.
And you're showing them exactly why it was a problem. That's really smart.
That's really smart.
Now, what if the employee in this moment totally denies it or gets really defensive?
Yeah.
Which can happen.
Totally.
What are some techniques for navigating that?
Well, the source says it's really important to stay calm.
Okay.
And professional.
Right.
Even if they get upset.
Right.
You don't want to get drawn into an argument.
No.
Or mirror that negative energy.
Right.
And it's also important to actively listen to what they have to say.
Yeah.
Let them speak.
Right.
But I think it's important to remember that you don't have to accept excuses.
Right.
For unacceptable behavior.
Exactly.
The focus here needs to be on finding solutions.
Right.
And setting very clear expectations.
Yeah.
For how they need to behave professionally.
So, okay, you've heard them out.
Yeah.
You've listened.
Yeah.
But now you need to say, okay, going forward, this is what's expected of you.
Right.
This is how you need to behave.
This is the standard.
Yeah.
Exactly.
These are the boundaries.
And if this behavior continues, there will be consequences.
Yes.
And you need to be very explicit about what those consequences are.
Right. So the source mentions a few different things.
Okay.
You could start with a verbal warning.
Yeah.
And then if the behavior continues, you move to a written warning.
Right.
Then maybe a performance improvement plan.
Okay.
Which is a formal plan.
Right.
That outlines specific areas that the employee needs to improve on, what the goals are, how they're going to be measured, a timeline, and also the consequences if they don't meet those goals.
Right.
And then in really serious cases, it could ultimately lead to termination.
Right.
So it's really important to be clear about that from the beginning.
Yeah. Establish that accountability right up front.
Okay. So strategy number 3 builds on that idea of expectations.
By talking about establishing clear professional boundaries for everyone.
Okay.
And then enforcing them consistently.
Right. No exceptions.
No exceptions.
That's really important.
And this really gets to the culture of the team.
Right.
It's not enough to just deal with these incidents as they top up. You really want to create a shared understanding. Within the team about what is and is not acceptable behavior.
Right. And that needs to be in alignment with the wider organizational policies.
Right.
So it's not just your team making up their own rules.
Right.
It needs to be consistent across the board.
So you might do this by developing like a team code of conduct.
Okay.
Or really clearly referencing those existing company-wide policies on behavior and respect.
Yeah. Make sure everybody knows what they are.
Exactly. And then the really important part is the consistent enforcement.
Yes. For everyone.
For everyone.
No matter who they are.
Exactly. No matter how much they contribute.
Right.
No matter how senior they are.
No matter how charming they are.
Exactly.
Right.
Because if you make exceptions, it totally undermines your authority.
Right.
And it sends the message that the rules don't apply to everyone.
Right.
And that's when things can really fall apart.
Yeah, it breeds resentment.
Totally.
And distrust.
Right.
And it can really damage the team morale.
Absolutely.
When people feel like there's a double standard.
Right. So if a boundary is violated, the advice is to address it immediately.
Okay.
And to follow through with the consequences that you've already laid out.
Yeah.
Because that consistency is what builds trust.
Right.
And reinforces that these standards are really important.
Absolutely.
And they apply to everyone.
It's about fairness.
It's about fairness.
And transparency.
Yes. Okay. Strategy number 4 shifts the focus a little bit.
Okay.
To protecting the rest of your team.
Right.
Because this behavior can be really damaging.
Yeah, absolutely.
To everyone else.
Yeah.
So it's important to be really proactive here.
Right.
And mitigate the damage.
Okay.
So the source suggests that managers should be providing support to the people who are affected, showing empathy, validating their feelings, and most importantly, listening to their concerns without judgment.
Yeah.
Because they might not feel comfortable coming to you if they feel like you're not going to take them seriously.
Absolutely. So you need to create that safe space for them to come to you.
Exactly. And the source also suggests that managers should facilitate open communication within the team.
Okay.
So create a space where people can voice their concerns
Right.
without fear of retaliation.
Yeah.
And then also, as you're working to address the toxic behavior, it's important to take steps to rebuild that trust and morale within the team. So that can include things like team building activities, publicly celebrating successes, recognizing people's contributions.
Yeah, so it's not all doom and gloom.
Right.
You're also focusing on the positive.
Yes.
And acknowledging the good work that's being done.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about putting out fires all the time.
Right.
You're also building that positive team dynamic.
Right. So it's all about showing the rest of the team that you're aware of the impact of this behavior.
Right.
And that you're committed to fixing it.
Exactly. And creating a healthy environment.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Strategy number 5 is really important.
Okay.
And this one's about the manager seeking support and guidance.
Okay.
Because this is not easy
No, it's not.
to deal with this.
It can be really draining.
Yeah.
Emotionally taxing.
Yeah.
And often quite complicated.
Right. So the source really recommends that managers consult with their own supervisor or with HR.
Okay.
They can give you advice. They can connect you with resources. And make sure that you're following all the company policies and procedures correctly.
Yeah.
And if the situation involves any potential legal issues, like harassment or discrimination, it's really wise to consult with legal counsel as well.
Absolutely.
To make sure that you're taking all the right steps.
Right.
To protect everyone.
Yeah, because HR and legal teams have that expertise.
Right.
And that they can guide you through the process.
Absolutely. And then I think this is really important too. The source also acknowledges that this can take a toll on the manager.
Oh, yeah.
Personally.
Absolutely.
So it suggests that managers consider seeking professional support.
Right.
For their own well-being.
Yeah.
Like talking to a therapist or a counselor.
It's really important.
So important.
To take care of yourself.
Right.
You know, when you're in this kind of situation.
Yeah. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
Okay. Last strategy. Number 6. This one looks at the long term.
All right.
And what you can do to prevent this behavior.
So it's not just reacting.
Right.
It's being proactive.
You're right.
Trying to stop it from happening in the first place.
Exactly. So the source talks about using things like performance improvement plans.
Right.
With really clear goals and timelines.
Yeah.
To help people understand what's expected of them.
Right.
And to give them a chance to change their behavior.
Okay.
It also recommends implementing a zero-tolerance policy for toxic behavior across the organization.
So there's no ambiguity? You're looking at how they'll fit in.
Exactly.
With the team culture.
With the team culture, with the values of the organization.
And ultimately, the goal is to create a workplace culture